Alright, I was lucky enough to have a build of mine showcased in one of my favourite YouTubers' videos, and I wanted to brag about it a little bit and share the story behind it. Over the summer, R.R.Slugger put out a call to action for folks to submit mocks for a new classic space theme that he was calling Star Mail. The rules were simple. The mock had to be able to carry a Lego postbox element, which seems easy enough, so I was more than willing to throw my hat in and try and contribute to this project. Now, I don't have a room filled with unending supplies of Lego parts, so my first stop was to Bricklink. Now, lucky enough, I was already halfway through curating a basket on Bricklink for other mocks that I was working on that I'll probably show off at a later date. So, because I'm cheap and I don't want to shell out for postage on a bunch of different Bricklink sellers' stores, I decided that all of the parts that I needed for the Star Mail mock would have to come from this one Bricklink store, just to make the build more challenging. There are many ways to create a mock. The most sensible way of building would be to come up with a proper plan. There's a lot of maths that goes into Lego designing, and I'm not particularly interested in it. I prefer to have an idea in my mind, get the parts in front of me that I think I need, and then inevitably have to improvise from there. First things first though, I needed to hire a driver to fly the spaceship. Fortunately, this guy wanted the job. He was also the only applicant. He's from the Futuron theme, which is close enough to classic space for me. He also gives me a colour palette to work with. Next up, the post boxes. I got 3 of these with the intention of turning one into a droid. I had a rough idea of how I was going to do this by stealing a set of astromech droid legs from an unlucky R2 unit. These are the parts I used to come up with the droid, and it came together just as I'd hoped. The clear rounded tiles over the transneon orange made for a good lens effect, without making the eyes look too bulgy. I call this robot MA1L, and I'm very happy with how he turned out. Circling back to the shop, I had a look around for available parts that would hopefully strike some inspiration in me, and I found these white engine parts, which I have seen before on an old Naboo starfighter set that I once owned. Fueled by nostalgia, my plan came together. My initial idea was to make a kind of asymmetrical cloud car, with an engine in the middle, a pilot seat on one side, and a big storage unit on the other. Things didn't work out that way, as you can see from the finished design. I spiced up these photos to make the colours pop a little bit more, because my camera's not very good. It's a time-consuming process, which is why I haven't done it for every picture that I use in these videos. But let's talk about the end design. Starting at the back, the yellow ladder part acts as a ramp to get items into the storage area. I have since changed this to make the ramp fit more snugly to the curve of the slope, and also make the speeder a little bit more aerodynamic. The hold itself does have enough storage space to hold one of the post boxes and a few other loose bits of mail. The tail end of the engine has a plethora of transneon orange parts. The propeller caught my eye as I'd never seen it in that colour, so I had to try and find a place for it in the mock. That sloped yellow part with the transneon studs under it bulks up the engine and hints to its power. The pilot section is a little flat underneath, but I am pleased that both the pilot and MA1L are able to have places to sit comfortably. Then things get rounded off with another mailbox on the side for smaller letters and parcels. Most of the yellow highlights can be seen in the centre of the build, which had to be built up significantly more than I expected in order to house the mailbox. Of course, building on the fly like this does mean that I did order more parts than I ended up using. Most of them are just extra tiles, but I'm sure I'll be able to find a use for some of these parts at some point in the future. If you haven't already, please check out R.R.Slugger's video for more creative Star Mail ships. My contribution can be found at 29 minutes and 7 seconds, sandwiched in between the works of Stud Wars and Taser 2019. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you also contributed to R.R.Slugger's Summer of Slug, and come back for the next one.